is Cinephile ASMR, your go-to one-stop shop for movie reviews, movie discussions, role plays, horror stories, Reddit stories, movie facts, unboxings, and you name it. So if any of that tickles your fancy and you haven't already, consider subscribing, hitting that notification bell, and letting me know down below what your thoughts are on today's video, which is all about movies. Around 50 different movies that I have scoured the internet, culminating a myriad of diverse facts for you that I have put neatly in a note document. It's gonna be so much fun, my friends, and I would love to hear any additions or inputs that you have to say in relation to all these aforementioned movies. I hope you enjoy, but before we do, why don't you go ahead, get comfy, rest your head upon a pillow, a cushion, or maybe if that isn't your thing, just find a comfortable position to be in. Get a drink, a beverage of your choosing, a little snack, some popcorn. Just had a Jolly Rancher earlier. That post-Halloween grub. Put on a few pounds, that's okay. Enjoy yourself for these next few dozen minutes. I'm very excited. Without further ado, I'm not trying to waste anybody's time here. I've really tried to verify each and every one of these facts so they're legitimate and I'm not spreading some cuckoo misinformation here. So, my friends, let's go ahead and get started with the first as we take it back to the 60s. Because did you know that in Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, the famous shower scene used chocolate syrup for blood because it shows up much better on black and white film and had a much better realistic thickness? Did you also know that director Alfred Hitchcock used over 60 camera setups for the 45-second shower sequence in Psycho, making it one of the most intensively edited scenes of all time? Let me know if you feel all that work, all that chocolate stickiness wound up paying off in the final product, because I think it did for my money. Alfred Hitchcock is a legend for a reason. On that topic of legends, in The Godfather, the words Mafia and Cosa Nostra were completely omitted from the script after discussions with real-life mob-affiliated figures. I have heard from many different people, online threads, about the realism that is at the core of The Godfather, but the even more realistic fact pertaining to those films, I've never seen it. Moving on. Some extras in The Godfather were allegedly real New York mob members that were there to help ensure authenticity and that the production stayed safe. That is insane. I will watch these movies eventually, I promise you. The King Kong 1933 film had a puppet of the King Kong himself that was only 14 inches tall. They covered it in rabbit fur, and the accidental shifting of the fur between frames gave Kong lifelike motion. That is honestly one of my favorite movies without messing my collection up. I have it on this wonderful set. I think I actually got this at Costco, which is like a bulk food store or just a goods store for anyone who doesn't live in the States. God, I miss when Costco sold movies. They would really have a lot of gems. Shout out Peter Jackson's version as well. The 1999 final directorial effort from Stanley Kubrick holds a Guinness World Record for the longest continuous film shoot that roughly went around 46 weeks straight. What the hell? But in my opinion, it's in my top 10 of all time. It makes sense. Incredible, incredible movie. Did you know, while filming the original Sam Raimi 1981 The Evil Dead, the cast actually lived in the remote Tennessee cabin where the movie was set. The cabin itself did not contain heat or plumbing. What's even crazier is I own that film and I haven't seen it. I own the trilogy. The only ones I've seen is the 2013 remake continuation. I know people kind of don't know what that is. Phenomenal. And Evil Dead Rise. I need to watch it. Wait for my best friend and I to check them out because I can't wait. The 1999 David Fincher's Fight Club was actually shot in chronological order, which is very rare or even next to impossible for a big studio film. But this gave Edward Norton the advantage to avoid sunlight and to look more and more sleep deprived as production went on for the sake of his character. But also, over 1,500 rolls of film were used to shoot Fight Club. That is 3 times the industry average, with more than 70 custom-built sets. I just don't think you can say no to David Fincher, man. The Gene Wilder Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory was filmed in Munich, Germany. This was actually done for very intentional purposes, as the alien architecture surrounded its surreal atmosphere and added to it, but also it was a lot more cost effective to film in Germany rather than over here in America. That is actually becoming more and more the case. If you look at the decline of film and studio production in especially California, a majority of it is because of costs. The opening live-action ship in the SpongeBob SquarePants movie used the real HMS Bounty replica that had also appeared in films like Pirates of the Caribbean. Continuing with some SpongeBob SquarePants movie facts, a 12-foot, 750-pound David Hasselhoff replica was made for the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. The actor wound up keeping it afterwards. I love the hell out of that damn movie. Did you know, during Martin Scorsese's 1976 classic Taxi Driver, Scorsese and cinematographer Michael Chapman shot interior cab scenes from the trunk of the taxi using only street light. I've heard nothing but the craziest stories about the making of some of the early Scorsese works, and especially when he didn't have the name or the recognition or the budget to boot. That man would basically put the Inna invasion. I just came up with that on the fly. Fun fact, did you know, for the making of Singing in the Rain, the iconic scene where Gene Kelly is singing in the rain actually posed to be much more difficult because Gene Kelly, at the day of filming, was running 103-degree fever while dancing in the rain. But he stuck it out, persevered, and what we got in the final product, I think, shows. Maybe a fact that you have heard of. It's one of the most popular, but for a reason. Did you know the Michael Myers mask used for the John Carpenter film Halloween is actually a white painted version of William Shatner's face that was molded, and then they just turned that into the mask? I've always wondered if William Shatner got like residuals for that, because I mean, there's almost like a dozen Halloween films. I mean, he's living off of the Star Trek money, but still, very crazy. Did you know, in one of the most underrated DC films, Birds of Prey, Margot Robbie's egg sandwich used duck eggs instead of chicken eggs due to her being allergic? God, that thing makes me damn hungry. During the Blues Brothers, the making of the 1980 film with John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd, Dan Aykroyd once saved Carrie Fisher from choking in her trailer, and immediately after he proposed to her. Haven't seen the movie, but I thought that fact was crazy. The Alejandro Iñárritu film, The Revenant, was shot in the brutal Canadian wilderness, where he was adamant and insisted that no one could use their cell phones, and he insisted on there being real cold and real animals nearby for the sake of authenticity. Did you know that for Rob Reiner's 87 classic The Princess Bride, actor Mandy Patinkin drew on the intense grief of having just lost his father when he did the iconic revenge scene? But to my understanding, he lost his father pretty immediately, right before he had to turn around and film the scene. What a treasure of an actor. On the 1990 miniseries It, the set itself was riddled with disasters, and often people consider it cursed. But one thing was for certain, and that was that the child actors were genuinely petrified of Tim Curry's Pennywise, even off camera. Man, what happened to Tim Curry and him getting, I believe it was a stroke in like 2012, 2014, it breaks my heart. One of the sweetest, most warm spirits I've ever been able to watch. This one is insane, because everything was dramatically increased budget, scale, size. Arnold Schwarzenegger, for his role in T2 Judgment Day, earned roughly around $21,429 per word in Terminator 2. Man, I think I prefer the first one. I think the second one is a masterpiece, but I think there is something about the simplicity of making him this sentience that is only there to kill. So good. In the J.J. Abrams Star Trek 2009 remake, actor Zachary Quinto, who plays Spock, could not do the Vulcan salute. So J.J. Abrams personally glued his fingers to separate them correctly. Now, obviously, glue that could be taken off. Great movies. In Titanic, director James Cameron spiked the set's chowder with LSD. Okay, that's partially a lie. Someone apparently dosed it, causing mass hallucinations, and over 50 crew members were hospitalized, but later recovered. This is an incredible story by I want to say it's Bill Paxton on the situation. I couldn't make that up. The stars of the 2008 Mamma Mia, Pierce Brosnan, Colin Firth, and Stellan Skarsgård all admitted they were terrified to sing on camera. But apparently the set was filled with laughter, music, joy, and heart. So much so that for the rap party, Amanda Seyfried and her grandmother got so obscenely drunk during the after party that it was a whole fiasco. Patrick Swayze calls the pottery scene that he did in Ghost, quote, the sweetest, sexiest thing he's ever filmed. Did you know that Ghost was the highest grossing film of the year 1990, earning $500 million? Guys, what have we done? We have strayed so far from society where I think it's original, I'm almost certain it's an original, but an originally made film, a love story about a man who dies and a grieving woman with pottery and Whoopi Goldberg made $500 million. We need to bring that back. Speaking of things we need to bring back, while filming the Twilight Saga Breaking Dawn, Robert Pattinson crashed a boat during a romantic scene with him and Kristen Stewart in Brazil. Bella's wedding dress in Twilight had, you guessed it, which I doubt you did, 152 buttons down the back, custom made by designer Carolina Herrera. I have a soft spot for the first one, I admit, I do. For The Shining, did you know that child actor Danny Lloyd didn't know that he was in a horror movie? As a kid, he thought it was just a family drama. This is crazy. This is the sort of fact that would have changed, honestly, an entire, franchise. Bear with me. Did you know that John Wick was originally having a completely different title and was originally titled Scorn, but actor Keanu Reeves kept fudging up the title and just called it John Wick, so the studio changed it officially. That's crazy. On the set of the third Harry Potter, The Prisoner of Azkaban, Tom Felton's robe pockets were sewn entirely shut because he kept smuggling candy in them. In Interstellar, physicist Kip Thorne's equations were used to visualize the black hole, and they were so accurate that the rendering software produced new astrophysics insights later published in a scientific paper. Did you know, in The Hangover, actor Ed Helms wakes up after, with the hangover, having a missing tooth? That was not a prop, but in fact, the removal of his fake tooth, which he has had for decades. This thing always blows my mind. Did you know that Pixar's A Bug's Life was born from a single 1994 lunch where a group of animators, storytellers, and directors then pitched the ideas for Monsters, Inc., Finding Nemo, and WALL-E. I wonder what lunch they were having. What brain food did they eat to then conceive of the greatest Pixar films all in a damn lunch? But I guess it kind of goes to show that everything kind of starts from somewhere. The shark Bruce in Jaws infamously never worked, so Spielberg had to limit its screen time to just 4 minutes. In my opinion, it made it infinitely scarier. On Ridley Scott's Blade Runner, Harrison Ford was known for his habit of requesting a, quote, world's greatest sandwich between takes, so much so that it became a running joke for the crew. The sandwich in question was a grilled cheese. The Revenant's bear attack scene was achieved with a synthesis of using a part mechanical bear rig and practical effects, and never was it full CGI. In line with another 2015 banger, did you know that for George Miller's Mad Max Fury Road, most of the stunts were real? This included vehicles flipping mid-air, live performers jumping from moving car to moving car. It's a masterpiece. But then the streets kill me when I say that I think Furiosa may just be better. I don't know. We'll see. How time will tell. Heath Ledger kept a Joker diary while filming The Dark Knight. It was full of disturbing stories and imagery to stay in character. The major set piece for Christopher Nolan's Inception, the hallway rotating dream sequence, was a real 100-foot spinning set, again which was practical, but it also required months of training from actor Joseph Gordon-Levitt. In Jordan Peele's directorial debut, Get Out, Daniel Kaluuya's scene where he is in the sunken place was achieved with a black mirror and in-camera lighting. No CGI or green screen was used. I think that's my favorite bit of the movie too. The 2019 Best Picture winner Parasite had director Bong Joon-ho draw out the entire layout of the house himself by hand that allowed him to dictate where light and shadow would fall. Maybe the greatest Best Picture winner of the past 15 to 20 years. The La La Land Sunset Dance with Gosling and Stone was filmed in one 20-minute golden hour window per day, taking 2 full days to nail. In my opinion, that is beyond impressive. I don't even want to imagine how long it would have taken me. For Wes Anderson's The Grand Budapest Hotel, he used miniature trains and a mix of stop motion for several of the tracking shots instead of CGI. For preparing for the role in Her, actor Joaquin Phoenix spent weeks in isolation writing poetry and avoiding social media altogether. Director David Fincher, for the making of The Social Network, required Jesse Eisenberg and many of the other crew and cast to train in keyboard typing for The Social Network, all for the sake of authenticity. Another random fact that I didn't put on there that just came into my head in regards to The Social Network. The studios did not think that it would be possible for a 160-page script to be condensed into a 2-hour movie. The rule of thumb is basically, I think it's like a minute per page of a script, so it would have been 2.5 hours. Fincher was adamant that it would be 2 hours, so he sat in front of them, put on a timer, read the script exactly how he wanted it done, and it came out to being exactly like 2 hours. A madman. Wesley Snipes, for the making of Blade, performed most of his own fight stunts, drawing from his real martial arts background. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind used anamorphic lenses that distorted the image to subtly disorient the viewer during memory erasure scenes. And finally, the fact that I have purposefully put to the very end the big kahuna here. Did you know that in 2014, for a Halloween-themed campaign, Arby's had a deal that if, whether in the drive-thru or in person, as you were taking the order and telling them what you wanted, if you said hashtag trick or meat, they would add a bacon to your sandwich for free. No, this is not a joke. And if you got to this far in the video, the true cinephile head that you are, I need you to comment hashtag trick or meat to make sure that you are truly down for the cause of the cinephile goodness. But there you have it, my friends. I had a blast assembling these facts for you, and I hope that you were able to have a great time. Maybe heard a few that you knew, but maybe some that you didn't. I try to get a diverse group of movies, but sometimes, like, when I'm going on the rabbit hole, that's why there's duplicates for quite a few movies, because either I love the movie so damn much, or the facts just write themselves. Anyway, my friends, stay tuned for quite a few videos coming soon. I know you guys have been asking for some more horror stories. Look forward to that very soon. But above all else, you, and you, remember to take life one frame at a time. Have a good